Hello, welcome to the Strong and Sober Podcast. My name is Maddie. I am very sweaty and half naked, as you can tell. I will try to keep my nipples out of shot for you. Joining me, as always, is my giggly co host, painted up like your favorite Easter egg today, Mr. Lucas Weaver.
Honk honk. What's up, dude? How are you?
Honk, honk, huh? that's that's a new one. Is that your new signature? Honk, honk.
Yeah, well, I told you I needed a it's like applause.
Oh, yeah. When we do it in person, with that mixing board I have those. Maybe I can see if I can do the little sound effects here. Get the little bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
Just throw in like applause and audience laughter just so we feel like whatever we're saying is funny or relevant. Or at least we can tell the audience this is a point where you're supposed to be laughing.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, how's your week been?
Uh, really good. I got a lot of things accomplished that needed to be accomplished. My cars are fixed finally. And yeah, I'm getting ready to get back to normal life, which will should start about next week. So I'm just preparing for that, but everything's good. How about you?
Oh, my week has been shit. I man, I really don't know what it is, and like I'm saying all this in the interest of transparency and ownership, and I really don't know what it is. I don't know if I'm dealing with mild depression. I don't know if I'm just kind of overwhelmed with life at the moment. I hit the gym once this week. I did my hot yoga twice. The third time, my wife had plans and we wound up canceling the third day. But yeah, and I've just been eating like an absolute jackass. Like I'm not even so like for example, and I know we talked about this, the last episode or whatever, where I'm like, yeah, I ate three of those little fruit pies.
Yeah.
But like I had a burrito yesterday in the afternoon for lunch, and I have like 12 1 pound tubes of cashews here that I just shot an ad for. And as soon as I ate the burrito, I just stood there looking at my phone, eating fistfuls of cashews. And I ate like a half pound of cashews. Like, wasn't even hungry. I wasn't even hungry when I ate the burrito.
Yeah.
And like, bro, you know how you were talking about how you can't do protein bars anymore?
Yeah.
I finally decided I can't do it. I literally yesterday and the day before ate 6 Bear protein bars. Like I just grabbed three of them. I sat down at my desk to play Mugenics and then just sitting there eating protein. I don't know what it is. Honestly, like I'm slipping so hard. I hate it. I feel fat. I feel disgusting. And it's like, I think I feel good in the moment, because I'm getting this food, I'm getting this dopamine kick, I'm getting whatever. But ultimately it's almost like a hangover where you get drunk and then the next day you hate it, but you feel good in the moment,
Yeah.
which leads us to today's topic: what actually feels good versus what we think feels good. Because I think honestly, most people, myself included, have no idea what makes them feel good. Like we think we do, but we keep choosing things that make us feel worse afterwards. Like I just said, I'm sitting there and it's like, okay, I'm having a burrito for lunch and I wasn't even hungry, but it had been, X amount of hours. And that should have been plenty. Eating even a half burrito should have been plenty because I wasn't hungry. But then for some reason, my brain is like, just continue snacking, just keep putting the salt in your mouth. I'm probably doubling my calorie goal. So either we're lying to ourselves or we don't understand what feeling good actually is.
Yeah.
You know what
Maybe
I'm saying?
with me, I think I just like the taste of food. Like if it's delicious, I could just keep eating it and eating it. And
Exactly.
I don't know if that's an addiction or if it's like I mean it could be, but it's literally like you said, you weren't even full, but you were still eating. Like I do that all the time.
Well, okay, for example, like uh last week, I think right after I don't remember if we did on Sunday morning last week.
Yeah.
So right after we did the podcast last week, I went up to LA for a wrestling show, and it was my friend's birthday and she wanted to go to basically what was like soup plantation up in LA. It's called like Soup and Stuff or Soup and Fresh or something like that. So it's like a buffet, and it's, you know, soup, salad, and then there's like a lot of like bread type things.
Yeah.
Uh Bro, like none of the food was actually good, but I, no joke, probably had 30 slices of like little cheese pizza and cheesy garlic bread, like this big,
Yeah.
just because I'm like, I'm at a buffet and like I'm getting the pleasure receptors in my brain. I'm just going to keep eating. It's justified because I'm at a buffet and you want to make sure to get your money's worth. Even when I got the ice cream at the end, bro, I put two fat brownies, and instead of getting the little cone, I went and got one of the soup bowls, and like I filled that thing up with ice cream. It was a massive mound of ice cream. And like I'm thinking at the time, I'm enjoying this. This feels good. But as soon as we finished, I walked out of there holding my stomach going, ugh. And the whole car ride, all I wanted to do was take a nap. And then I'm gassy at the wrestling show. And
Yeah.
then at the wrestling show, I got a bunch more crap. I got two vegan hot dogs. I got what else did I get? Uh Two vegan hot dogs, M&Ms, crisp cut fries, and an ice cream sandwich. And like I didn't need any of that stuff. And I'm just like, well, it's been about 2 hours since I ate. I might as well eat, especially because like they're gonna close halfway through the event. And I felt like absolute dog shit the next day.
Yeah.
Like, what's something that you do that feels good in the moment but you always regret after? Like you said, you like the taste of food, but especially looking at you, I can tell you're not the overeating type.
Uh, I mean, recently I was when it comes to like just drinking sugar beverages, or even not even sugar beverages, like carbonated beverages, dude, because like I'll drink it and then I'll instantly regret it because I'm like you said earlier, you're just it like gets me super gassy and super like just it makes me feel super full. And then I'll start feeling like my jelly rolls, like just when I would sit down, like a jelly roll will pop up always after I drink soda. And it's like, was it like every time I drink it, it always leads to like, well, one, I know I shouldn't drink it, but it always leads to like instant regret. It was the same way with it's one of the main reasons why, well, not the main reasons, but I stopped drinking beer because when I would go to the bar or something like that, like after one or two beers, I would just be completely bloated and I'm just burping and like trying to get it out for the whole night. And it's always led to that. I don't know if my body's like rejecting it, but it wasn't always like that.
So
But
for you, the regret is like instant.
yeah, it's weird because like I'll instantly get like completely bloated. Like and even like if I drink like Topo Chico, like carbonated water, like it's the same thing. So it's like it's even though carbonated water is not soda, but it still does the same effect as it does. And it's just instant regret.
Man, see, I wish I had that instant regret. I did an ad last week, and I was supposed to be dressed in like a polo shirt and sitting at a desk, and all I saw was this massive, massive spare tire around my waist. And I was disgusted. And you would think that me seeing that and feeling that way about myself would have motivated me to really lock in this past week. And for some reason, it didn't. Like I had this feeling where I'm like, I can't believe I've let myself get to this. I recognize what I'm doing. I recognize what happens beyond this, and I don't want to get there. But there's something, I think I have this cycle of shame where I feel bad for what I've done, and then I self-medicate by eating more. And you know, like not going to the gym. I've made some dumbass excuses this week. Like, you know, like I said, I just bought a new truck a week ago. So I'm like, well, I don't want to go to the gym until my my sweat proof seat covers arrive. because I don't want my new car to smell like a gym. And I know there's people that are going to hear that and say, well, why don't you just shower at the gym? It doesn't work that way for me. Like my body temperature gets so high that I don't stop sweating for a good 45 minutes after I stop working out. So like I could shower at the gym and then put on clean clothes, but I'm going to continue to sweat as a result of the afterburn. I
Yeah.
have to go home, wait about 45 minutes to an hour until I actually stop sweating and then take a shower.
The shower probably makes it worse.
It does, because generally you're already hot and sweaty and you don't want to take a hot shower. So the shock to your body of the cold water, like just as soon as you get out, you take a cold shower and you get out and the outside air is hotter. So you start sweating more. So it's either I take a hot shower, feel gross, and then, hopefully start cooling down when I get out, but still be hot and sweaty, or take a cold shower and definitely get out and be hot and sweaty. So like, and everyone talks about dopamine like it's the feel good chemical, but realistically, it's not. Dopamine is the I want more chemical because it's not actually about enjoyment. It's about the pursuit. It would be great if it was just enjoyment. Like you get this dopamine kick and it's like, wow, that was great. But dopamine is like a drug where it's never enough if you keep getting it and you always want more and more and more and more. And your brain releases dopamine before you get the reward, not after. And that's why the craving is stronger than the satisfaction of actually getting it.
Yeah. That reminds me of like so, you know how like when people are like just a typical like person like works all day and then come home and drink. Uh,
Mm.
like when they open up that first beer and then they take that first sip and it's like automatically like
Yep.
everyone does that. Like no matter like
It's like that first sip just washes away all of the whatever that you've brought with you from the day.
yeah, for it. And like yeah, but it's like that reminds me of it's because you, and then I mean which leads and then you end up like chasing that first sip feeling for the rest of the night which could lead you to blacking out.
See, my thought about, the dopamine before you get the reward, not after, is this is going to be a little weird, but Luke knows it. I know it. Any guy that's listening knows it. And that's post nut clarity.
Uh,
So basically, if somehow you're uninformed, what post nut clarity is when you're in the pursuit of sex or when you're getting ready for it or you're actually doing it, your brain is willing to do all kinds of stuff. Like you will do nasty, disgusting things you never would do normally. Like, I'm not going to give a specific example, but there's this one thing that like I'm always trying to get my wife to do, especially like when we're in the act, and she can't fathom doing it. And I'm like, no, that's not something that I would do regularly. Like if somebody on the street just did that to me, or even if you as my wife did that to me without like the throw of passion, I would be disgusted. But
yeah.
in the moment, it's incredible, or I know a lot of us who have had hookups, casual hookups, you make more questionable decisions when you're like really interested in hooking up with somebody or you're just trying to get laid. You're willing to kind of do whatever. Some people pay for it, some people hook up with people they don't find attractive. And then after you've got that release, then suddenly the realism comes back and you're like, man, I feel so ashamed or I shouldn't have done that thing. That's because you got the dopamine before the reward. It's the high of the chase. And then like you get the thing. And as you're doing the thing, you're getting the reward, the sex, the alcohol, the half pound of cashews, the extra cheese on your burger, the whatever. It feels good in the moment. And then afterwards, there's no more dopamine. So you start chasing again, which is why I wind up eating 6 stupid protein bars in a day.
Yeah. You need to stop because I'm starting to think that
You're
this,
telling me I need to say, yeah, no shit.
dude, those protein bars, bro. I'm telling you that processed sugar, it's gonna come back to us later, and we're gonna like we're the guinea pigs for that. And I ever since I stopped eating as much processed sugar as I was, like I think my anxiety is completely gone away. But that's a different subject
Yeah.
for a
When
different.
especially with those protein bars, it doesn't just come with the shame of knowing like, oh man, I just ate 1,200 calories in basically candy bars, and in return I got maybe 90 grams of protein. So like I kind of justify, well, I got 90 grams of protein, that's fine. But I realized that those protein bars specifically tend to make me feel really bloated and gassy. The gas is bad enough, but the intestinal discomfort that I get is so not worth it. And then it's like, what's today? Sunday. So Friday, I had 6 of those bars and I felt awful the rest of the night. And then I did it again yesterday. And then again, I'm walking around holding my stomach, groaning and complaining that I'm in discomfort, gassing my wife out of the room. Like, I know this episode, I'm on a weird one today. So the episode's kind of like a little gross, but it's relevant to what I'm talking about because I'm doing these things even though I know that eventually I'm going to feel bad about them physically, emotionally, mentally, because in the moment it makes me feel good, or at least I think it does.
Yeah.
So
And
is there go oh god.
the matter is that you're aware of what's going on though. And that's all that matters. You just gotta force yourself back into how you know what I'm saying? Right now
Yeah.
there's something that's like preventing you, and you've had a rough week, bro. So like don't think of it as like a failure. Think of it as like it's like a lesson, because out of anyone I know, you're gonna get back, you're gonna get out of it and back in better than ever.
Yeah. I keep telling myself that, and I honestly believe it, but it's just I'm not treating myself that way.
Yeah.
Has there ever been anything that like you're more excited thinking about it than actually doing it?
I have a few examples. The best example that I could give that I want to like connect into like drinking is I remember I used to like just that's all I would think about is go like me wanting to drink with my friends, and
Mm.
it would always lead to the anticipation and then us getting what we needed to get, and then next thing you know we're we're drinking, and then but we're like in a parking lot for like 8 hours, or in a car for like 8 hours just sitting there, or like at someone's house just watching TV. Like it's like what like I got all this anticipation to not to do absolutely nothing, so it's like
Mm.
in the beginning I didn't realize it, but towards the end I was just like, dude, like I'm wasting my time. Like I've spent probably weeks to months like just hanging out in parking lots and in cars, and like just chasing that first sip feeling that would always lead to like what am I doing?
So you were more addicted to the chase than the actual reward.
You,
Like
I
like the idea that this thing was going to fix your problem, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, I think the chase, or I think the reward became less of a reward towards the end. So yeah, it was more the chase. In the beginning, I was addicted to the substance and not being alone. But towards the end, like I started realizing like what was really like going on, because for those years, those 7 years of me just drinking, like I was like, it was just tunnel vision. I didn't even have the capacity to think about what I was doing to myself.
Well, and I mean that's exactly it. You saying that the reward kind of diminished over time.
Yeah.
That's the whole point, is that the dopamine level, like the dopamine you're getting from that first sip, starts deteriorating over time, or you gain intolerance to it, where the first couple times it might be man, I'm so happy to be with my friends. Oh, that first drink, that signals the beginning of me just unwinding. But then the more you do it, it's just not enough. It's like any tolerance, weed, alcohol, sex, the gym, no matter when you start doing something, it feels great at first, but the more you do it, you need more and more to reach that same level of dopamine release. And then you kind of just start doing it just to do it.
Yeah. Do you think we're more addicted to the anticipation than the actual thing itself?
Uh, I mean, yeah, in a lot of respects, I do. I mean, we had Katie on the show before, and she had talked about vacuuming her carpet
Oh yeah.
for I don't remember if it was 12 or 24 hours, looking for any leftover shards of meth. So she had this chase, this anticipation of like, I'm gonna find some, I'm gonna find some. And I know meth is a lot stronger, so it may have been a little bit of taking the edge off, but I think the anticipation of when you're getting it, because I was the same with weed. If I was out of weed knowing, oh man, my connect is coming through in like an hour, I'd get really excited and think about like that first bowl or that first whatever, you're even cleaning the bong waiting, and then you get it and it's like, okay, yeah, I'm doing the thing. I don't even feel it right away. Like you kind of, it's like buying a lottery ticket. You're really excited when you go to buy the ticket because you think this is going to be the big one. I'm going to win big. This is going to change everything. And then when you lose or you win $1 or two, you're like, oh, well, that wasn't as great as I thought it was going to be. But then you still keep going back because you still keep thinking that this is going to be the time that fixes everything.
Well, why do you think the chase feels better than the reward? Like, why do you think that?
I think it's the anticipation that whatever we're doing is going to pay off in some big way. Either, the first sip of alcohol is going to be the thing that kind of washes away the stress of the day. It's going to allow you to unwind.
Yeah.
I think the with weed, it's as soon as I smoke this, I'm going to be able to turn off my mind from everything that's distracting me and everything that's bothering me. With food, I think it's I'm going to actually feel something. I'm going to get this taste sensation in my mouth that's going to just blow my mind, and I'm going to be so excited about that. And then or the same with the lottery ticket. You're anticipating what's going to come, and the we tend to romanticize things, and I think that's why reading a book tends to be so much better than the movie, is because in your head you can always make things better and the most perfectly contoured to what you want than a movie can.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking about that first sip of alcohol, that first hit of weed, that snack that you're going to have, the person you're going to hook up with, there's all this possibility and the idea of how great it's going to be. And I think we all want that because in the end, we're all searching for something to make our life a little better, some kind of release, some kind of escape. And until we get that, we're going to keep chasing it. But the problem is, even when we get something that makes us feel good in the moment, it's fleeting. It's not going to change everything forever. Think of how many people have won the lottery and then they wind up blowing all of their money and wind up in a worse situation than they were in before. It's because it wasn't a permanent fix to what was going on.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, you're right about the it was you had a good example with the lottery tickets. I was thinking more towards the casino, just like
Exactly.
driving to the casino, like, oh, I'm gonna clean house, and then you're driving home, just lost your house, like
Look at my brother every time he's, and he always talks about, you got to take everything my brother says with a grain of salt, but
yeah,
every time he would go to the casino, he would say, oh, I walked in there with $200. I won $5,000 and then I left owing, or, I left losing $300.
yeah,
So he kept doing the chase because he kept thinking, I'm going to get more. I'm going to get more. I'm going to get more. And the amount of dopamine. So here's the thing with things like junk food and alcohol and scrolling and gambling and all that other stuff. You get a huge dopamine spike, but then your brain has to balance it. So what happens is it drops below baseline. And that crash is why you feel tired, why you feel anxious, why you feel empty. Your brain is literally overcorrecting, and you have to find something to bring it back above baseline. So you're constantly chasing more food, more alcohol, more weed, more sex, higher winnings from gambling. So that's the thing that, like, I think I've mentioned on here that my dad was addicted to pain pills for the longest time. And my mom never understood what was happening and why he always needed more and more. And I told her, okay, mom, imagine if his baseline for pain is like a 10, right? And he drops down to like a 7. And he's like, man, I'm in pain. I feel a little bit of pain. He takes a pain pill that makes him feel great. And then if he starts staying at a 10 all the time, as soon as he stops taking those pills or he gets any more pain, his tolerance is going to drop down to a 5 because he's used to being up here. And that's the way it's going with dopamine, is you constantly have this baseline. So the more that you scroll, the more that you eat, the more that you drink, whatever, that baseline for how much you can tolerate starts to drop, or starts to raise if you're talking about how much dopamine you get. So you need more and more and more and more. And then when you get that big hit, your brain's like, hell yeah, we're at like a 20 right now. And then once that dopamine is gone and you get back to 10, that 10 feels like a 0 because of how high you were.
Yep.
And I mean, it's a stupid vicious cycle. Brains are dumb. I talked about this last week. Sometimes you just got to tell your brain to shut up, but brains are always trying to do what's best for you. But a lot of the time, what's best for you is actually going to feel bad. And you're going to, it's, how can I put this? It's going to feel bad. So your brain is going to try to self-regulate to make you feel good again. So it's trying to protect you, but it's also trying to better you. And in and of itself, that makes it conflict and fight itself. My brain just farted right now and I just kind of rambled a bit. But like, did you notice that crash, that overcorrecting crash with anything? I know you were saying that, with drinking with your friends, it started to get less and less, but is there anything? I mean, you mentioned the gambling, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, the most recent thing I could think of is just like sugary coffee. So it's like the caffeine and the sugar. Like it feels good in the beginning, but after like an hour, you're sluggish. You want to go to sleep. And or like it's because I think it has to do with like, well, I've been saying it forever. Is the sugar, but it's that, and then also like the overeating. Like a couple, like the last weekend, I went to go eat sushi,
Mhm.
and it's like I love the taste of sushi, and I'm just nonstop like just eating and eating and eating, even though I've been full, and I'm still eating and I'm still eating, and instant regret. Like I'm at home just feeling my stomach, like touching my chest, like just sitting there watching TV, just why did I do that? And then like telling myself, oh well, I'll start tomorrow. I'll start tomorrow because I put myself in that situation, and it's like it's it happens all the time. It's
Why do you think we do that? Like, why do you think even when we know things make us feel bad, why do you think we keep going back to the same thing that ultimately made us feel worse than we did before?
I mean, I it's gonna lead down to trauma. I would say so. Like now, you just made me think of something that um maybe the reason why I do that. So when I was a kid, I like most kids, like when they eat dinner, like they get a plate and then they go and they serve themselves, right? It's like that, but in my household, it wasn't like that. Like I got a plate full of food, like a huge plate full of food, and rather I liked it or I didn't, I had to finish it,
Yeah.
or I would just sit there. Or
Oh,
it's
you had a clean plate clubhouse.
yep, all and it's like so it was like that. I remember having like friends come over, spend the night, and just getting freaking mounds of food on their plate, dude, just like just in shock. And it's like, and I'm like, dude, like, how are we gonna finish this? You know? And it's like, so the dog's got a lot of leftovers. Yeah, so it's like I think maybe that is why now that I'm thinking about the past, maybe that was a trauma of mine, which leads me to overeat or to indulge. So I
See,
mean, I'm thinking on my um situation, I think it has to do with that.
so I've got a similar thing, but on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. So you were an only child where your mom would just dish up a lot, your parents would dish up a lot of food and be like, you have to eat all of this.
Kitchen's closed.
Yeah. We had three growing boys, and my mom would only make so much. So it was, if you don't eat or you have to eat all of your food if you think you're going to want any more, and you have to get it before somebody else gets it. And so that's the thing. Like, let's say my mom made a thing of mac and cheese, and if there's enough for everybody to have a bowl, and then there's enough for maybe two extra bowls. Well, if you want to get that extra bowl, even if you're not hungry, if you have the anticipation that you might want it, you need to eat your food, you need to eat fast, and you need to get up and get that second bowl. Otherwise, you're not going to get a chance to.
Yeah.
And I think that's something I do like subconsciously that I do now is I eat fast and then I eat more because growing up, that was what you had to do if you wanted to get the nutrients. And
Yeah.
then it's like with any household with two cats, there's always one cat that's monstrously fat and one cat that's like pretty slender. And that's how it was in my house. Was I was the fat cat, the heavy breathing cat that couldn't get up the stairs, and both of my brothers were the super lean. Granted, one of my brothers was on meth for ever, but the other one just barely ate at all.
Yeah.
So I think that's where mine comes from, at least in terms of my eating.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I think it's off trauma, which
Yeah.
which leads to why, like, when it really comes down to everything, I think all addictions are based. I'm starting to believe are based off past trauma.
In some respect, yeah. Because I mean, we're ultimately trying to fix something that hurts or that we feel is broken.
Yeah.
But now flip that, right? So things like working out, dieting, sobriety, they don't give you a huge spike. In fact, when you start, they suck and you hate them. Nobody likes going to the gym for the first time. Nobody likes starting a new diet. Nobody likes starting sobriety. And we talked about this, I think, a week ago, where it's because all of the things that are actually good for you are uncomfortable at first. And so your brain's kind of like, we don't want to do this. So that gives you a slow build. You might feel a little bit better the first time you work out, but you might be sore. And then you go back the next day and you get a little bit more dopamine because you're like, okay, this is cool. Like I'm getting in the vibe of this. After a week, you're locked in and you're like, hell yeah. And then after a month, you can't even fathom not going to the gym for a day. And the same with dieting. You get locked in, and then every day is its own reward. Every day pays off just for doing the things that you would normally do. And exercise increases dopamine and serotonin gradually, which leads to more stable mood instead of spikes and crashes. And the same with sobriety. Your brain has to rebalance. And that's like, so with gastric bypass, the stomach thing that makes people lose weight really fast.
Yeah.
A lot of the time that doesn't work. And that's because people get that sudden shock, that sudden change, and they're not used to it. They're not used to changing their lifestyle and learning how to deal with the discomfort of not eating whatever they want, not eating big portions. And so they tend to gain that weight back after the initial loss. However, when people diet, they're changing their habits and they're learning to slowly deal with that discomfort and slowly get the little dopamine hits from actually eating properly, taking care of yourself, eating normal portions, and not feeling like absolute dog shit at the end of the day. So, on that note, what's something for you that feels hard in the moment, but always makes you feel better after?
Running. I the first half mile, I've already quit. Like I've already like told myself I was gonna quit like 1,000 times. And then I always notice after that, like it's always the first like half mile is just the struggle, but after your body starts like warming up, and then like I like compare it to like your like the engine like getting oil, I would say. But after that, like the last, it's you're just there. Your body's doing all the work, and then I don't know what the word for it is, but you go from like wanting to quit to like to in the mode, and so when you're finally done, it's just pure like bliss. Like that's the best example I could give is running, because I always, there hasn't been a time where I stepped on a treadmill or I ran like a track where like the first like minute in I didn't tell myself I was quitting.
Oh yeah, because I mean, you're instantly getting, you're breathing heavier, your joints are starting to get the heavy shock of running, which, you know, as good as it is for you, is horrible on your joints.
So
And
why do you think people quit before it starts to feel good?
I mean, we talked about this a bit last week, where I think people quit before their brain adapts because it feels like a threat. It feels like a challenge to them. The discomfort is just that. It's not comfortable, and most people can't deal with it. They don't have the tolerance built up in order to. It's just like with weed, right? So the first time you smoke weed, you need the tiniest little hit and you're sailing, like you're good. But the more and more you smoke, the more and more you need to smoke to get to that point again.
Yeah.
And so you have the discomfort at the beginning, and that discomfort feels insanely hard. And so your brain is like, we don't like this. Like, we want to get back to feeling good again. We want to get back to feeling normal. But then the more you do it, if you just tell your brain to shut up, then eventually you can do more and more and more of the thing that makes you uncomfortable, more running, more dieting, more lifting, whatever, longer sobriety. And then it takes way more discomfort to get you to the point where you're like, this is a threat and I need to quit. So talking about running, you know, I, when I first lost, a ton of weight, running was one of the things I did the most. And as I said, you know, at first I could only do maybe like a block, and then I would tell myself further and further and further. It got to the point where I could do 4 or 5 miles nonstop, no breaks, no walking, no nothing. And so it would take more and more and more and more miles until I would get uncomfortable to the point where I'm like, I need to stop, or this is my limit, or man, maybe I should just stop moving completely and get an Uber to take me home. But I think that's it. I think that people don't have the tolerance for discomfort. And that comes with everything. You know, we have everything so readily available at the snap of our fingers right now. Like if I'm craving a pizza, if I'm craving a specific restaurant, if I want rallies or Thai food or whatever, I can get on my phone and pay somebody to bring it to me instantly.
Yeah.
Whereas before, the discomfort of even getting in your car, driving to this restaurant, putting in the order while you're there, and then waiting for them to make it, getting it, driving home, all of that was enough to dissuade people from doing things that they didn't want to do.
Yeah.
Just that amount of discomfort. And now we don't even have that. We had to go through so much more discomfort before to achieve anything, that everything now is instant gratification. So our tolerance for things that are uncomfortable or unfun is so minimal that everybody's willing to quit at anything it takes or anything they try.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just like like our lives compared, like our generation compared to the new generation, like our generation, like our video games, like if you died, you got to start over.
Permadeath, bro.
But now it's like, oh, if you die, it's like, oh, pay 6 coins and you could start where you know what I'm saying?
When you don't even, half the time you don't even die. Like looking at Call of Duty games, they give you so much health and you can just hide behind a rock and suddenly you get your health back. Like, so on that note, I do these videos for this company, and we do a lot of video game stuff. And one of the things we do is, there's this other guy, Matt, that I do the show with, and he's 25, I think. I'm 43. So we're two completely different generations. So he's grown up with the Minecraft and the Rocket League and all of this new stuff. And I'm the old Nintendo guy where everything was super hard. So one of the things we do is Gen Z plays millennial games. So we'll get him to play like Battletoads and Castlevania and all of these unforgiving games where it's like death and then you go back to the start and you get 3 attempts and then it's game over.
Yeah.
There's no continues, there's no infinite lives, there's none of that. And seeing him struggle through that is incredible. But he also wants to quit after like 5 minutes, where we would sit there for hours and just get angry at how much we were like how much we were dying, but keep going because we had that tolerance for discomfort. We had that tolerance for failure.
Yeah.
And like that. So the thing is, dopamine in terms of sobriety and all of that, because, I kind of want to bring it back to the sobriety focus. Addiction floods your brain with dopamine, like just drowns in it. So normal life starts to feel flat. And this is the thing that we've been talking about with the regulation or the regulating and the tolerance and everything like that. So you get used to being at a baseline that's like a 20. So when you get back down to normal, which is, still a 10, it's still a full tank, it feels like you're completely depleted. And it can take weeks or months for dopamine levels to normalize after heavy use. So, like I said, when I quit smoking weed, I knew that I was going to be severely depressed for an entire week. That's just immediately after quitting. That's my brain resetting and being like, man, we need to learn how to make these feel good chemicals on our own now, because he's had those receptors permanently blocked with THC. And it's the same thing with alcohol. People go through, that's what withdrawals are. You start missing that feeling, that high, or chasing that feeling, and then your body's like, I don't know what to do, and everything feels like shit.
Yeah.
And that's why early sobriety feels boring, because not because life is boring, but because your brain is recalibrating.
Yeah. When I got sober, life felt flat. Like nothing really hit, nothing like was really exciting, and I thought that there was something wrong with me. Uh, but now I'm starting to realize like I think my brain was just fried, you know?
So when did you start to feel normal again?
Um,
Like how long did it take after you quit drinking?
I think I answered this last time, but I want to say 3 years, because yeah, maybe even longer. But and I'll be honest with you, I still haven't hit the where I still haven't reached where I want to be, but I yeah, I forget.
When it started feeling normal again? I mean, in 3 years, that's a long time, and for us, drinking was our life. So even just some things might start to feel normal, like the withdrawals and the drive to drink might fade after, a couple days, a couple weeks, maybe a couple months, but feeling normal again, where things don't feel boring, where you're suddenly learning how to be by yourself, how to do things that are fun that don't involve alcohol, how to be around friends without feeling like you're dragging them down or that they're going to be a negative influence on you. That takes a long time. In 3 years, I mean, that might be an extreme case for some, but that's a harsh reality for some people.
Yeah, well, like I said, too, is that I was drinking like at the like heavily at the age of like 17, 18, and my brain wasn't even fully developed. So like I just had like I quit drinking when your brain is supposed to be fully developed. So I feel like all the years of while I was drinking and my brain was developing, and then when I finally quit, I just think that there was just a lot, like too much going on to like, it was just like I just had so much shit going on in my brain that if it was wild, you know?
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, do you think people relapse because they think that flat feeling is permanent?
That's a good question. I mean, I feel like that's a part of it for sure.
Yeah.
You know, like we've said, I think a lot of the time people feel like the discomfort is a big reason that people relapse. I think that the drive to be part of a community is a part of a reason people relapse. But I do think that flat feeling, maybe not being permanent, but not knowing how to deal with that, I think that's a huge reason why people relapse, because you've built your entire life around this identity, whether it's drinking or smoking or meth or whatever, and suddenly you don't know what to do anymore. Like Friday night, you and I knew what we were doing.
Yeah.
We're meeting up with the boys. We're getting shit faced. It may be at a bar. It may be at somebody's house. It may be in TJ, but that's what we were doing. Saturday, that's what we were doing. Sunday, first thing in the morning, football, grilling, drinking.
Yeah.
That's what we were doing. And so once you take that out of the equation, suddenly you start having to plan again. And nothing seems to have that same spark because you knew what you were doing. It becomes routine. Routine feels familiar and comfortable. And we get addicted to that too. We get addicted to the routine. It's like if you start making your bed every morning and then you don't make your bed, it eats at you throughout the day. So I think when people feel flat, or when life feels boring, that in and of itself gets really overwhelming. And without the tolerance to the boredom, the struggle, and all of that stuff, you kind of look for a way to fix that. And then you think to yourself, well, I know if I just have a couple drinks, I'm going to feel a little loose. I'm going to feel a little fun. Like maybe I'll go out to the bar and I'll pick up on somebody. Maybe I'll just ask my friend if they want to go do some shots. And suddenly you start rationalizing why drinking is something, or drinking or smoking or whatever substance you abuse is what's going to fix your boredom. But I think boredom gets a bad reputation, right?
Yeah.
So even there was that Harvey Danger song, Flagpole Sitter, where he says, if you're bored, then you're boring. And that's not entirely true. I mean, yes, you could make that argument, but realistically, boredom is your brain actually resetting, because when you remove constant stimulation, your dopamine baseline slowly raises back up, which means normal things are starting to feel good again. And see, I have that problem because I honestly don't have time to get bored. I will jam pack my day full, full of stuff, whether it's exercise or work stuff or hanging out with friends or doing stuff around the house. If I have a free minute, I'm trying to shove something into that minute. So when I don't have time, or when I have time to just sit and do nothing, I feel really overwhelmed. You know, I don't know what to do with my time. I just start telling myself, I know I should be doing something. And I think that for me is that feeling where life starts to feel flat, where I start to think I should be doing something. I need some kind of dopamine that's giving me this reward of knowing that I am busy, that I am active. And I don't know what to do with my free time. So my brain doesn't have time to actually reset itself. And for me, that's a thing I need to learn to deal with. I need to learn to just take more time for stillness, more time for meditation. Like I haven't meditated in probably like 3 years, but I used to do just 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes before and after bed. So first thing when I woke up or right before I went to bed, I would just lay there on my bed, eyes closed. I would have, like either headphones in or just the phone next to me with guided meditation. And that really helped me slow down and just live in the moment and realize that not everything has to be something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I spent so I feel like I'm the opposite because I spent a good 5 years being alone and being isolated and being in my own thoughts, where to the point where like I don't think I even know what being bored even feels like anymore. It just I feel like it's just a that's just sitting still in your own, like, just being by yourself. It's a very normal feeling to me, which it used to be like the opposite. Like I used to have to be at a friend's house. I used to have to like not be at home. I would be the kid like I was a feral child. Like I was never at home. Like I would, and if I was home and if I was supposed to be home, I was like jumping out the window to leave. So like I feel like I'm the opposite because like I said, I've spent the hours or the years alone. And I don't know, maybe I don't think you've always had, like, I don't think, well, I could, because I don't really know, but have you spent that time alone, like a lot of time alone? Because I know
No.
we've had like someone with you, like ever since I've known you, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like I never had that. So I mean, it seems like for you, like you are very comfortable and familiar with spending time alone and just being able to disconnect.
Yeah.
But I no, I've never had that. I mean, I lived at home with my family until I was 24, I think. And then I moved out with my ex-wife and then I lived with her for 15, 16 years. And then when I was about to be 39, actually, I just turned 39, I moved out on my own for the first time. And so I had that time alone. But then I realized that, especially with the weed, like if I sat alone, I would start to think about where I was in my life and I would be very negative about it. I would start thinking, I'm at a job I hate, even though it pays well. I'm at a job I hate. I'm 39 and divorced. I'm living on my own for the first time. I'm just starting to do, like the acting, and I don't even think I'd started doing ads at that point yet, but I just started trying to pursue something that I was interested in. And that's an area that has a high degree of failure. So I'm stressed about that. So I would always joke that when people would comment about how busy I am, that if I stop running, my demons will find me. And so that's why I started jam packing my schedule, or that my demons would catch up. That's why I started jam packing my schedule. And weed would force me to, I would try and do stuff while high, but I would also wind up just sitting there kind of staring at the TV. But even then, I would get on my phone and start doom scrolling or trying to message friends. So I would always make sure that I was doing something.
Then
I
you're not with, you know what I'm saying? And texting and scrolling, like technically you're not alone.
No, and even then, it was like, I joke that once I got divorced, I finally got to go on my hoe renaissance, where a lot of us got the ability to go out and have a bunch of random hookups and date around and kind of just do all of that when we were in our late teens, early 20s, mid 20s, whatever. I never had that because I was overweight and pretty unattractive when I was a teenager, and then I got married at 23. So I never had that ability to go out and just date and play the field. And so once I got divorced and I was out on my own, that's all I did. I was going on like anywhere from 3 to 8 dates a week. There were some days where I had literally 3 dates in a day. So even if I had free time, I was trying to meet up with somebody that I didn't know just so I could have something to do. Well, someone to do, but something to do that wasn't just sitting and being by myself. And whether that was my desire to avoid self-reflection, which I was still doing, I'm still a very self-aware person, even at that point, but I didn't want to get too deep into it because I knew if I sat there by myself without something to distract me, then I would have to be brutally honest about how I was feeling in that moment.
Okay, last question. This might bring everything together.
Okay.
How often are you overeating and you're by yourself?
Oh, all the time. All the time. If I'm with Natalie, my wife, I am not overeating because she eats like a bird, right? So there will be times, and she'll even tell me like, "Oh, you should eat smaller portions." But generally, if I'm with her, I will eat just normal. And she's tried to tell me like, "Oh, it's because you work from home, it's because you're bored, it's because you're this, it's because you're that." But the thing is, last year, before we started the podcast, I started working from home in March. And between March and July, even with the trip to Japan in there, between March and July, I lost 25 pounds. And then I gained probably 35 pounds off of that. So, like, it's always when I'm home alone and I will overeat. And I understand the shame cycle. I've always said that when you drink and you try and hide your problem from people, you'll sneak drinks, you'll have a hidden stash, you'll do things like that. I used to know that my overeating was out of control because if I was going out to get burritos for my ex-wife and I would get a second burrito that I would eat on the way home and then just hide it and pretend like, this burrito that we're eating together is my first one. And so I'm not doing exactly that now, but I will eat other stuff that I basically hide from her. And I know I'm doing that. And I understand that the hiding it means that I know that it's wrong and that I feel ashamed about doing it. But it's always when I'm by myself.
Yeah. Well,
Like, if she's home, I might have like a piece of licorice, I might have a protein bar, but it's just a little something to get me through. It's not sitting and eating 3, 4, 5, 6 protein bars. It's not fistfuls of cashews one after the other.
well, I think you may have realized what it could be. It's just it's when you're alone, you know?
Yeah, I mean that's part of it. Yeah, and it's I think ultimately I want more out of my life and then I start feeling bad about where I'm at physically and I tend to get a little bit stressed. And so when you add all of those things up, you want something to take the edge off. And that used to be alcohol, it used to be weed. And so, getting 1,000 calories of just garbage feels good in the moment. It gives you that sugar or that dopamine or that whatever. But then afterwards, I just feel terrible. And usually it's, she gets home around 7. I'll have eaten a bunch of garbage at 5, and then I won't want to eat dinner because I feel awful. And then now I'm taking quality time away from us where we would have dinner together or I would cook dinner for us. And she's just eating whatever's in the house. And I'm sitting there groaning, you
Well,
know,
bloated.
yeah, bloated. And, like, so ultimately with everything that's going on, the goal for all of us is to rewire what actually feels good, because I don't think the goal is to remove pleasure, because honestly, who wants to live a life like that? And as we've said so many times here, the key to everything, the key to quitting addiction, the key to exercise and diet is sustainability. You can't just eat 1,200 calories and not eat any of the foods you like, because you're going to hate it and then you're not going to want to do it. So you have to do things that fit within your life, but also lead towards your goals. So it may not be to remove pleasure is the goal. I think it's to retrain your brain on what pleasure actually is, from spikes in pleasure to stability. So understanding what actually feels good and moderating that. And like I'm sure you've had feel good habits that have changed over time, right? Like things that start feeling good and then don't feel good after a while, or things that kind of suck at the beginning, but then suddenly you start loving them?
I mean, I would declare this protein or like the protein bars. Like I thought, like, and then it also, I remember drinking like those bangs, like when those bangs first came out, because you know how they had creatine in them, you know?
Supposedly, yeah.
I thought they did, but
Well, no, they had a lot of claims that turned out to be false, but they called it the super creatine. But I
like
I drank bangs like they were candy, dude. I would drink like two or three of those a day.
it's been a while. But yeah, so I would when I started drinking those bangs as a pre-workout, I remember I started seeing like crazy results. And I think it had to do, well, not crazy results. I started seeing better results, better than anything else I've taken. And I realized it was the creatine. And but like I said before in just past episodes, that like the energy drinks are like, I can't drink them. They're not good for me. So
So it felt good in the moment, and then
over
over time you realized it wasn't for you.
the time I was drinking like three a day, and then I was having fucking kidney issues, or not, well, kidney pain and stuff like that. So I had to stop.
Well, yeah, and then even going to the gym, it's a habit that's supposed to feel good, and it doesn't feel good at first because your tolerance to discomfort is so low. But then the more you do it, it kind of becomes an addiction where your baseline for gym enjoyment is so high that if you don't go to the, because I was to the point where if I didn't go to the gym for 2 days in a row, I started to get angry. And now I went to the gym once last week and I kept finding like yesterday, I was supposed to go to the gym. I told myself, I'm going to the gym. I'm going to the gym. I wrote a schedule with the gym time locked in. And then, of course, like things changed. I felt like I needed to take a nap. And, I put so much on my plate that I'm like, well, I guess I just won't go to the gym today. I'm going to take another day off and it'll be like more recovery. I did my 3.5 miles with the dog this morning. Tomorrow's Sunday. I'm going to start over. I start rationalizing all of the reasons why I shouldn't do this thing that's good for me and why I should put it off until tomorrow.
Do you think discipline eventually turns into enjoyment?
It can. I definitely think it can. Like everything we've talked about today with boredom, if you are disciplined and you're not constantly feeding your need for dopamine, you suddenly learn how to be okay with being bored. You learn how to be okay with stillness. You learn how to enjoy your quiet time and your solitude. And same with the gym, same with diet, same with sobriety. All of these things are hard at first and they're uncomfortable, but if you are able to be disciplined and have your goals in sight and just keep working towards them despite all the discomfort, eventually you start to enjoy it. Eventually you start to realize how good it feels to eat clean or eat plant-based or not eat refined sugar. You start to realize how good it feels to be physically active, whether that's running or walking or hiking or canoeing or lifting weights, whatever. It's difficult at first to not drink because you're not getting that constant slam of dopamine from the chasing of the reward. So the longer you go without that, you build up that tolerance. You start to realize how good it feels to wake up and not have to look at your phone to see if you texted an ex or called your boss a dick or, broke something in your house or hit somebody with your car. So I definitely think that discipline over time can lead to enjoyment of uncomfortable things.
Yeah.
And maybe feeling good isn't intensity. Maybe it's stability. When we're young, we want wild and crazy and we're chasing all these highs. But as we get older, more of us kind of want to just stay in our comfort zone. We want to stay home. We want to stay in our bubble. We want to do things that are our baseline. We don't want any highs because we don't want to deal with the lows. And it's not the highs, but fewer crashes ultimately is what we're seeking. So my final question to you is what actually makes you feel good now that didn't before? Like what's something you used to rely on that you don't anymore?
Shit. I would just say opinions of others.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a good thing. I mean, you used to really you've said with your drinking that you did it to fit in and what others thought of you, and now you kind of don't care, and that's
I don't.
honestly one of the best things you could ever do for yourself.
What about you?
Man, I mean, things that feel good now that didn't before. I mean, eating plant-based definitely feels good now. Like thinking about the amount of bloat and stuff that I had when I would eat meat. And don't get me wrong, like I'm still eating meat on occasion. I still have non-plant-based things on occasion. And usually when I do, I feel not great. Either I'll feel sluggish or I'll just feel kind of emotionally like shit, kind of emotionally heavy. Um, so eating these clean food sources, eating whole foods, non-processed foods, it's difficult at first because you're having to really think about what you're eating and you're having to plan things more. And that really sucks at the beginning. But then it kind of becomes second nature and you feel better physically, mentally, emotionally. And it just ultimately it's better. And then you get, if you go out and you have like a slice of pizza or a burger or something that's not plant-based, it's not quite a reward. It feels different. So it's a little change in your daily routine in your system. So part of it feels like a reward, but it also kind of makes you feel a little caca at the end. So you do get that little spike of dopamine, but then it balances out pretty good because you feel the shame or the uncomfortability of it, the bloat, or
You know,
you smell it the next morning.
every time I eat vegan, I feel better.
Yeah.
I'm doing something I'm supposed to, you know what I'm saying? Like I like it's like I'm doing the right thing. So I think I'm actually getting dopamine from eating vegan food.
Yeah. I mean, you could because you're starting to feel better. And then feeling better about yourself is something that you want to chase because if you feel good, you want to feel good more and more frequently. So that's the thing. You start eating vegan and you start feeling better physically and mentally and emotionally and energy wise, and you sleeping better. And then you eat something that's not plant based, and suddenly you feel heavy and sluggish, and maybe you don't sleep as well.
It's just like for me, it's like I haven't been eating plant-based until like recently, but like it's just something in my brain is like say I go get a a, a vegan burrito. Like when I'm eating it, like while as I'm eating it, like I'm something in my brain is like telling me I'm doing the right thing. You
Right.
so and I know that's dopamine's being released.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, if you actually look into what is in dairy, it's pretty disgusting, you know. And there's a sombrero right by my house, and so they don't cook their beans in lard, which I mean, really, I don't mind too much, but my wife is very big on that. And when you order a veggie burrito, they give you the option of guac or sour cream or guac and sour cream. So you just get it with the guac. Dude, it's good. It's beans, rice, pico, uh, guac, and then and lettuce. And you can even add like I'll add hash browns or fries or something if I'm feeling saucy or I need more carbs. Dude, it's fire. And there's something about Mexican restaurant lettuce that just tastes way different than any other lettuce. Like you can somehow taste it hours after you eat it. I do. I know you know what I'm talking about. Like whether it's roll tacos or carne asada fries or burritos, if you get like chopped lettuce from a Mexican restaurant in your food, it tastes different and you taste it for hours.
Uh, the chlorine they didn't rinse completely out.
Maybe the guy didn't wash his hands, so you're actually getting E. coli. And that E. coli tastes great though.
Yeah.
Well, so that's does it for this episode of the Strong and Sober podcast. I know it was a lot of self-reflection on our parts, with a little bit of science and actual discussion mixed in there. But that's what life is. This is the life that we are living. We are actively and daily living the struggle of staying sober, staying healthy, staying strong, dealing with all of our past traumas to get to a point where we're living our happiest and best lives. And sometimes you hit these roadblocks, and it's really important to take a step back and try and identify why this roadblock is here, why you want to deal with it, and how you're going to deal with it. And that's basically what this episode is about. Is you're not messing up every day, every week. Granted, I'm being really hard on myself for the way I've been eating lately, but ultimately I need to realize that I, in fact, am human, and I need to practice self-forgiveness. I need to practice self-love, and I need to take time to understand why I'm doing these things and how I can fix them. And sometimes that means diving deep into your brain and your psychology and the chemicals that your body produces. And hopefully today's episode helped you realize that, and will help you the next time you come across a roadblock that makes you want to give up, or makes you feel like you're not good enough, or makes you feel like maybe I can't do this. Because ultimately you can, and you have, and you will, and you'll continue to do it unless you think you can't. And then you're right. So thank you for tuning in. We will be back next week. You can follow us on Instagram at Strong and Sober Podcast. You can reach out to us on there, or you can follow Luke on Instagram at Luke Weaver, LVKE Weaver. I'm at Matty Ding Dong, Matty. And if you can't spell ding dong, you are a ding dong. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, want to share your success stories, looking for advice, or you want to be a guest on this show and share your story and help inspire others, you can send us an email at strongandsoberpodcast@gmail.com. So for Mr. Lucas Weaver, I'm Matty Ding Dong, thanking you guys for tuning in. And as always, stay strong, stay sober, and stay tuned. And we'll see you next week.